life was nearly extinguished. In the ashes of the Paleozoic, a new world was waiting for mix. The stage was set on Pangea, a single, immense landmass. Its vast interior was an mess. Without large oceans to regulate climate, Pangea experienced brutal extremes, scorching hot. And in this empty world, one animal didn't just survive, it thrived. Ichthyosaurus. Slowly, over millions of years, hardy forests of conifers and ferns began to reclaim the river valleys.
Redolence. But such abundance could not go unchallenged. The few predatory lines that survived the extinction began to recover.
On land, a new group of reptiles was rising to power. The archosaurs, the ruling reptiles.
Among the most fearsome was Postosuchus. Nearly 6 meters long, it was a heavily armored super predator.
Among the most fearsome was Postosuchus. Nearly 6 meters long, it was a heavily armored super predator. In the oceans, life was also recovering. A new dynasty of marine reptiles was emerging, with Ichthyosaurus leading the way.
Shaped like the dolphins of the future, they were built for speed, perfectly adapted to hunt the fast-moving fish of the Triassic seas.
The world had found its new rulers. On land and in the sea, the archosaurs and marine reptiles reigned supreme. Because in the shadows, a new kind of reptile was evolving. They were smaller, faster, and more adaptable. Coelophysis was a blueprint for success. Lightweight and bipedal, it was a fast and agile hunter. The conflict that would define the next 150 million years had begun. The dinosaurs versus the established rulers of the world. The dinosaurs' greatest advantage was not just their design, but their behavior. Many, like Coelophysis, were social.
Hunting in packs, they could tackle more difficult prey and increase their chances of success. It was a highly effective strategy in this recovering world.
Their hunts were models of efficiency, relying on speed and tactics rather than just brute force, a sign of a more advanced predator. These behaviors set them apart. The age of the lone, lumbering tyrant was being challenged by the age of the fast, intelligent, cooperative pack.
And it wasn't just the carnivores that were evolving. The first giant dinosaur herbivores were emerging, and they...
Plateosaurus was a forerunner of the great sauropods. It could walk on 4 legs to graze.
It could rear up, reaching high into the canopy. This opened up a vast new food source, allowing them to grow to immense sizes.
Like many dinosaurs, they found safety in numbers. The herd provided a formidable defense against any predator foolish enough to attack.
The old rulers, like Postosuchus, were now faced with a new challenge. Their prey was no longer small and defenseless. The balance of power was shifting. The sheer size of the new herbivores was a powerful deterrent. Dinosaurs were taking control. The old guard was being pushed to the margins. A new dynasty was rising, built on size, speed, and cooperation.
Pillars. These new giants became the first dinosaurian ecosystem engineers, changing the landscape itself to suit their needs.
And as dinosaurs conquered the land, other reptiles experimented with truly bizarre forms in different environments.
Tanistropheus possessed one of the strangest necks in history. It was a livant fishing rod, allowing it to hunt in the water while staying on land.
Life was recovering its richness. The world was once again filled with a diverse cast of characters, each playing their part in a new and dynamic ecosystem. While the dinosaurs were rising on land, the skies were still dominated by the ancient rulers of the air, the insects. But the reptiles, relentless in their conquest, were about to challenge that reign. Not by growing larger, but...
This is Eudomorphodon, one of the first pterosaurs. They were not dinosaurs, but a unique branch of flying
And with this innovation, they achieved what was once thought impossible: powered flight.
Their sharp, plentiful teeth reveal their diet. They were expert aerial fishers, a new type of predator that the aquatic world had never seen before.
The conquest was complete. With dinosaurs on land and pterosaurs in the air, the reptile dynasty was asserting its dominance over the entire planet.
And what of the seas? Here too, reptiles were evolving to sizes that would dwarf their terrestrial cousins.
The oceans of the late Triassic were rich and productive, providing the fuel for a new age of marine giants. A new giant had arrived. An ichthyosaur of unimaginable proportions.
This is Shawnosaurus, one of the largest marine reptiles of all time. It was a true leviathan.
Its sheer size was its defense. No other predator in the Triassic seas would have dared to challenge a full-grown adult.
But despite its size, it was not a monster. Its slender jaws suggest it was a suction feeder, preying on squid, and like the whales of the future, they were likely social animals, traveling in pods to feed, breed, and protect their young. Land, air, and sea. The reptiles had conquered every realm. Their dynasty seemed unassailable. But the planet is ever-changing. The very forces that formed Pangea were about to tear it apart, and another great extinction was looming. By the late Triassic, life had fully recovered. Pangea was a world of giants, pioneers, and relentless. The herbivorous dinosaurs were flourishing. Herds composed of different species grazed together, finding safety in numbers.
We now have evidence that these early giants were caring parents. They likely guarded their nests diligently.
The hatchlings were small and vulnerable, completely dependent on the protection of the herd. Their survival was a constant challenge.
And danger was never far away. For smaller predators like Coelophysis, a lone hatchling was an easy meal.
But attacking the young meant facing the fury of the adults. A 10-ton parent is a formidable deterrent.
The smaller dinosaurs knew when to pick their battles. Direct confrontation with the giants was suicide. They had to rely on stealth and opportunity. While the dinosaurs were rising, the old rulers had not yet vanished. In the river valleys, the powerful archosaurs, but their territories were now overlapping. The presence of the new giants was an unwelcome intrusion into the kingdom of the established tyrant.
Unlike the smaller pack hunters, Postosuchus had the power to take on a larger dinosaur, provided it could catch one alone.
The attack is a stunning display of brute force. The strategy is simple: cripple the prey and let its massive weight do the rest.
But the Plateosaurus is not defenseless. Its powerful thumb claw, once used for gripping plants, becomes a formidable defensive weapon.
It's a battle for dominance. The old ruler versus the new dynasty. A conflict that defined the struggle for Pangea.
But the dinosaur's greatest strength is the herd. Its calls for help have been answered.
The hunter has become the hunted. Faced with the collective might of the herd, even the tyrant of the Triassic must resurrect. The victory established a new order. The dinosaurs' cooperative defense proved superior to the brute force of their. But dinosaurs were not the only herbivores on Pangea. Other archosaurs, like the heavily armored Ichthyosaurs, all with their thick armor and formidable shoulder spikes, they were a tough meal for any predator, occupying a niche similar to the wild boars of today.
Life was also diversifying in the trees. Strange, chameleon-like reptiles known as Drepanosaurs evolved to live an arboreal lifestyle.
They possessed a unique set of adaptations, including a strange claw on their tail, perhaps used as a fifth limb.
The ecosystem was becoming rich and layered, with dozens of species finding their own way to survive.
And as life flourished on land, the seas of the Triassic were witnessing their own explosion of strange and wonderful reptiles. Among the strangest was Tanystropheus. It possessed one of the most extreme necks in the animal kingdom, making up more than half its body length.
This neck, though incredibly long, was not very flexible. It acted more like a stiff fishing rod, allowing Tanystropheus to...
Other reptiles specialized in a tougher diet. Placotus was a powerful shell crusher.
Its bizarre front teeth were perfect for plucking shellfish from the seabed. But its real weapon was a second.
But the true giants of the Triassic seas dwarfed all others. The giant Ichthyosaurs, like Shawnosaurus, like the great whales of the future, they were social creatures, traveling the world's ocean in great pods, a true dynasty of marine reptiles. These gentle giants were not fearsome predators of large prey, but likely fed on the vast shoals of squid and antlings. The Triassic oceans were a world of evolutionary marvels, a testament to the incredible adaptability of the life had recovered its spectacular diversity. On land, in the air, and in the sea, but the planet is ever-changing. The very tectonic forces that had once forged Pangea were now preparing to tear it apart. It began with tremors that shook the continent, a warning sign that the foundations of their world were becoming unstable. Across the heart of Pangea, the crust was splitting open. This was the birth of a new ocean, and the trigger for a new extinction. As the continent ripped apart, massive volcanic eruptions began on a global scale, an event known as the Central Atlantic. This was a flood basalt eruption, similar to the one that ended the Permian. The planet was once again bleeding fire. Rivers of lava burned away the lush forests, while the ash and gases began to have a far more insidious, global effect. The sheer volume of volcanic debris thrown into the atmosphere blocked out sunlight, plunging the planet into a prolonged volcanic winter. The eruptions also released immense quantities of greenhouse gases, triggering a chaotic and violent Pyrrhus. The foundation of the food web, the plants, could not survive the darkness and the poisoned rain.
For the giant herbivores like Plateosaurus, this was a death sentence. Their massive food requirements could no longer be met.
The oceans were not a safe haven. The atmospheric CO2 was absorbed with the water, leading to
The coral reefs, the bustling cities of the sea, were the first to fall. Their limestone skeleton, the entire marine food web began to collapse from the bottom up. From the smallest plankton to the largest leviathans, life was starving.
The End-Triassic Extinction was devastating, but highly selective. It primarily targeted the large, non-dinosaur.
In a geological instant, the world was wiped clean of the dinosaurs' main rivals. The extinction event,
in the oceans, the giant Ichthyosaurs and other large marine reptiles vanished, leaving an enormous power vacuum beneath the waves. The planet fell quiet. The reign of the great crocodile-like archosaurs and the bizarre marine reptiles was over. And from the shadows, the survivors emerged. The dinosaurs, once living in the shadow of giants.
Their survival was partly due to their smaller size. They needed less food and could subsist on the small creatures that also survived the cataclysm.
They were generalists, not specialists. This adaptability was their greatest asset in a world where the old rules no longer applied.
And they possessed a secret weapon, a highly efficient respiratory system, similar to modern birds, that allowed.
With their competitors gone, the dinosaurs inherited the Earth. A 150 million year dynasty was about to begin.
As the planet's systems began to stabilize, a new age dawned. The Jurassic Period.
As Pangea continued to break apart, the climate changed. The arid deserts gave way to a warm. This new greenhouse world, with its abundant rainfall and lush vegetation, was the perfect nursery for the surviving dinosaurs.
With endless food and no competition, the dinosaurs went an explosive evolutionary reptile radiation.
And with so much plant life available, the herbivorous dinosaurs began to grow to sizes never before seen on land. And where the herbivores grew large, the carnivores had to evolve to keep up. A new generation of larger, more powerful predators appeared to hunt them. This was the beginning of the Age of Giants, a time when dinosaurs would push the limits of biological possibility. The new world of the Jurassic brought forth new predators. Dilophosaurus, the two-crested lizard. These fragile crests were not weapons. They were likely used for display, to attract mates or intimidate. As a predator, it was a nimble and stealthy hunter, a stark contrast to the brute force ambush predators of the Triassic. Its lightweight frame was built for speed. It didn't need to be the strongest predator in the forest, just the fastest. Unlike its predecessors, it could use its hands as weapons, grappling with its prey in a dynamic and deadly struggle.
This was the sound of the new Jurassic. The world now belonged entirely to the dinosaurs.
The warm, wet climate of the Jurassic created a green paradise, an endless buffet for the herbivorous. The sauropods became astonishingly efficient eating machines.
Their long necks allowed them to graze over a huge area.
Their footprints alone were large enough to create their own micro-habitats. They were forces of nature, reshaping the world just by walking through it. Their migrations carved highways through the primeval forests, altering the landscape on a continental scale.
And yet, even these giants were just the beginning. The Jurassic was a pressure cooker for gigantism.
Creatures with bodies the size of buildings, whose necks could reach the tops of the tallest trees, were on their way.
And with them would come new predators, hunters of giants, more powerful and fearsome than...
It would be an age of spectacular armor and deadly weapons, an age of icons. The stage was now set for the golden age of the dinosaurs. An age of titans was about to begin. The Triassic was an age of recovery and revolution, a world reborn from fire, where the survivors of... It was the age of the resilient Lystrosaurus and the reign of the fearsome crocodile-like archosaurs, a world of transition. But above all, it was the age that gave birth to the dinosaurs. It was the crucible that forged the great extinction at the end of the Triassic, swept away the old guard, leaving a path for the dinosaurs to rise unchallenged. Their dynasty was now secure. The stage was set for them to grow to sizes and shapes more spectacular than anything that had come before.
This was the Jurassic, a greenhouse world, a paradise for giants, and the heart of the Mesozoic era.
In their eyes, we see the reflection of a world they would command for an unimaginable length of time. They would become the largest animals to ever walk the earth, their footsteps echoing like the footfalls of gods.
And to hunt these titans, new, more powerful predators would have to evolve, creating a world of epic confrontations.
It would be an age of icons, a world of spectacular armor, deadly weapons, and unimaginable size.
The story of the Triassic is over, but the story of the dinosaurs has just begun. Next time on A History of Life. We enter the Jurassic, the Age of Giants.
Thankfully, someone always knows what's truly important.
From our prehistoric family to yours.
Thanks for watching!